Welcome to Greenable Woodbridge. I am your host, Carolyn Ehrlich, and today we are very honored to have the president of the Board of Public Utilities, also more commonly known as BPU, and so with us is President Christine Guhl Sadovy.
Good morning.
So thank you so much for being here. So even though BPU is probably one of the most vital, important agencies in the state, I'm very sorry to say that I think a lot of our viewers don't know what it is that you do. Can you explain your mission and some of the programs that you have?
Absolutely. I think you're right about that, but I think a lot of people don't know what the BPU does. Our mission is to provide safe, reliable utility service for our residents and customers and businesses in the state of New Jersey. We're also charged with hosting the Division of Clean Energy and the Office of Broadband. And so those two separate divisions are to advance clean energy goals and also to expand broadband access for the residents of New Jersey.
So I know very little about broadband, and I didn't even know that broadband has anything to do with clean energy. So let's start with that, because I really want to learn about it, as I'm sure my viewers do.
Sure. So I would say, in terms of broadband access and service, it's totally separate from clean energy. So we have the Office of Broadband. We also have the Office of Cable Television. And the charge of the broadband office is really about how we can expand access to broadband for residents throughout the state, both from an accessibility standpoint and an affordability standpoint.
Wow, that is great. So in our residents, I don't think, do they have access to broadband, or we're all tied?
So that's a great question. Right now, we are working with the federal government. We received a significant amount of federal funding to help expand broadband. We're looking at throughout the state of New Jersey and all of the counties where there might be limits to broadband service, so where there might not be the infrastructure to have broadband, and then where there might be just challenges with accessibility or the level of service or affordability. So, generally it's the more rural counties in the state, the northwest and southwest part of the state, that don't have the infrastructure.
Right.
But right now we are about to launch with the federal government a process to look at the entire map of New Jersey. This is happening across the country, and ensure that all of the locations that don't have service are identified so that we can utilize that federal funding to expand service throughout the state.
Oh, that is so incredibly important.
Very exciting.
That is. Wow.
Yeah.
So, and that probably is a kind of a step off of the fact that you regulate all the utilities.
Yes, it definitely is. Internet is not regulated by the state, by the BPU, but we are working with the federal government to ensure that there is access, because broadband, has become, particularly in the last 5 years, so critically important, right? If you're working from home, if you're going to school, if you're trying to access healthcare, you really need to have high-speed internet access.
Right. And I know here in Town Hall, we've been trying to update our municipal buildings and schools to make sure that we have all of that.
That's
so
great.
Let's switch over now to the Clean Energy Program, which is really the reason why I invited you here. You have, it has been a tremendous help for our residents and our businesses. So tell us more about the Clean Energy Program.
Oh, that's so great to hear. We love being able to help local governments and municipalities, and of course residents and businesses. So the Clean Energy Program has a host of both grants and incentives. We also have policy goals. As I'm sure you know, Governor Murphy has established very ambitious clean energy policy goals to get to 100% clean by 2035, to advance our offshore wind goals, to develop solar, particularly community solar for low and moderate income residents, EVs, which I know you're a big fan of, and we have our EV goal of 330,000 electric vehicles by 2025, which we're on track to meet. Wow. So we have, a great agenda, an ambitious but very doable agenda, and the Clean Energy Program and the BPU is working to make sure that we're able to meet those goals while keeping the costs down for ratepayers.
So what are some of the grants and what can homeowners do to take part in the clean energy program?
Absolutely. So, for residents in particular, we obviously, I'll start with solar. So, if you live in a single family home and you can get solar on your roof, there are incentives available to do that. To lease or own solar on your roof. If you don't, and you live in, either you live in an apartment building, or maybe you just don't have the type of home that can have solar on your roof, or it's not affordable for you, we want to make sure that, clean energy and solar in particular is accessible for all residents. So the community solar program,
community solar, which is one of, we really love it.
We love it too.
Yes.
I love it too. It's such the governor's leadership on community solar made New Jersey a national model for the rest of the country.
It truly is.
Former President BPU President Joe Fiordaliso, this was such an important goal for him to make sure that solar was accessible for all residents. So community solar does just that. Instead of building solar on your roof or putting solar on your roof, you're able to subscribe to a project. So a project in a different location, maybe it's on a warehouse, maybe it's on a parking lot, and you can subscribe to the project. It will lower your bill, so that's a requirement for community solar, and you'll get the benefits of clean energy. And I think one of the most important parts of the program is that it is geared to make sure that low and moderate income residents can get access. So every project has to have 51% of its subscribers be low and moderate income residents.
We have one that's been completed, and we're very excited about it. And it was a lot of outreach.
Sure.
And we had a lot of partners working with us.
Yeah.
And we achieved it. And we want to do more. We clearly want to do more. We're thinking about maybe housing. This was on a warehouse, but we're thinking the town, maybe if we could use one of our buildings to put the solar on and make that community solar. That's something we would love to do.
Yeah.
But I know it's just, you have to go through the BPU process to get approval.
Yes.
And now it's not as hard as it used to be because you've gone through the pilot program, correct? So for any of our warehouses or the town, if we want to do community solar, what would the process be for approval now?
So we initially had a 2-year pilot program, and then we established last year the full program. So there's still warehouse, potentially brownfields. I'm not sure if you have brownfields in Woodbridge, but you would work with a solar developer to develop a project in whatever the location is, and then they would go through the incentive and application process, and typically they would work with you to subscribe residents either in Woodbridge or in the surrounding areas. Actually, the first community solar project that was online was not far. It was in Perth Amboy, and so I remember being at a very cold ribbon cutting event for that project. So it's really one of the most exciting and I think important initiatives that we're doing in New Jersey.
Yeah, we have one warehouse that's being built right near one of our most underserved area, and we're kind of insisting that they start the process to get community solar there and get that neighborhood in it.
That's great. And I think, when we're building new buildings, that's so important, not just for solar, but when we think about energy efficiency and building electrification, that's really the time to make sure that the buildings are using as much clean energy as possible as when they're being constructed. So making sure that they can have solar on their roofs, making sure that they can have heat pumps if they're using electric appliances. That's a great time to make those investments.
Now, with all of this electric use and with the governor's fantastic goals that he has set, is our grid capable of handling all this electricity?
That's a great question. That is a challenge that is happening throughout the country as we bring on not just more electric vehicles and chargers, but also as we bring on things like data centers that are very, very large energy users. The country is working regionally, but also nationally to address those challenges. We at the BPU have a grid modernization proceeding going on. So we recently put out proposed rules for the first portion of our grid modernization program to look at really efficiencies when it comes to the utility sector, making sure that developers that want to develop solar projects or clean energy projects have visibility into the costs and the location of where they might be able to do that, right? Because there are certainly areas of the grid that are more constrained than others. So we are working with the utilities to develop maps so that we can look at where there is available electricity and then where there will need to be upgrades. And so that's the first part of the grid modernization. The second part, I think, is to get to your question, is looking at how we upgrade the infrastructure throughout the state and really throughout our whole regional transmission operator, because energy flows, all over the region, doesn't just stay in New Jersey. So we are working with, it's called PJM, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland. We are working, with them and with partnerships in other states to look at how we should be addressing interconnection for clean energy projects, things like data centers coming online, and how we can make sure that the grid continues to be reliable and stable, because that's always going to be our number one goal, is we want people to have reliable electricity.
Right.
And so we want to do that in a way that is clean and that we can bring as much clean energy onto the grid as possible.
That's where wind and solar comes in.
Absolutely. Wind, solar, battery storage. We're looking to put out a second version of a straw proposal for battery storage, because that's really important. Obviously, nuclear power, we get roughly 40% of our electricity comes from nuclear, so that's an important part of the clean energy mix as well.
And a small piece of it is something we are working with in partnership with BPU, is our microgrid.
Oh yeah, that's exciting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think we just got the last step approval from BPU.
Oh, great.
And I'm hoping that we're done planning and we're actually going to implement.
Great.
But so that's kind of an exciting thing where it's a parallel process to the grid.
Sure.
And if the grid goes down for any reason, our town hall and our schools and areas on Main Street will still have power coming.
Absolutely. As we are facing the impacts of climate change, and we know that we're seeing stronger storms, not even just, big storms, just, smaller, more frequent storms that are causing power outages, it's really important that we maintain reliable service for those things like hospitals and fire stations and all of that. But that's also, such an important reason why we're investing in clean energy, because as we see stronger storms, we are seeing utility costs, because outages bring infrastructure problems and they cost money, and so people are having to invest in utility infrastructure. So we want to make sure that we're doing our part to address climate change by investing in clean energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the wind program. That's fascinating.
It's such an exciting part of the clean energy portfolio, and it's certainly the cornerstone for New Jersey as we develop offshore wind and look at where we can bring the most clean energy online. So we have an open solicitation right now, so I can't really talk about that in detail, but
we're not going to be bidding on wind turbines.
Sure, absolutely. So we have our fourth solicitation open. We have just awarded new projects in our most recent third solicitation, which are really exciting. And then we're looking at advancing the fifth solicitation to develop our offshore wind resources. It is really the cornerstone of our clean energy program, not just because of the enormous amount of clean energy that it can bring in. I mean, our recent award to the two new projects is enough electricity to power 1.8 million homes.
Wow.
So it's really an incredible amount of clean energy, and it's such a great contributor to reducing carbon emissions. But it's also really significant in terms of economic development. And we're talking about billions of dollars in new economic development. South Jersey, being the location for the wind port and manufacturing facilities, making sure that New Jersey is positioned to be, the hub for manufacturing for the whole East Coast, because it's not just New Jersey, right? Other states have offshore wind goals as well. New York, Maryland, just to the closest to. It's really exciting, and we're looking forward to moving forward.
Right, and you have to keep the manufacturing down near where they're going to be, because those blades are huge.
Yeah. The component parts are huge. Even the monopiles, just the thing that goes right into the ground are enormous, so you need a lot of space.
Right. That's so. So what do you think the timeline is going to be for the wind?
So we're looking at, bringing projects online, producing energy towards the end of this decade and the beginning of the next decade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not too far away.
Not too far away at all.
Wow. It's just, it must make you feel so good, and your whole agency being at the spark, the beginning of this whole process.
It is. It's so exciting. It's, such a great opportunity to be, working with Governor Murphy towards these goals. The agency is incredible. The staff at the BPU are so hardworking throughout the entire, agency, not just in clean energy and broadband, but our legal staff, our accountants, our administrative staff. It's small but mighty, we like to say. We have a heck of a lot of work, but we have some of the most dedicated and talented people, I think, in all of state government. So we're really fortunate, and I think, everybody is excited to be working towards these goals.
It really is, and I am very impressed personally with BPU.
Oh, thank you.
And have been a fan for a long time, ever since your past president was here on our TV show. And but going back to what we do at residents, and we were talking about the lower income. What's the Comfort program?
Yes, so Comfort Partners is an energy efficiency program. We just served our 126,000th customer.
Wow.
We do it in partnership with the utilities. It's for income eligible residents to get energy efficiency upgrades that will lower their bills and that will also make their homes more comfortable, and to do it at no cost to the homeowner. So it's such an exciting program. I think it's so important, to make sure that all residents are able to access as many of our programs as possible. And this one, the cheapest and the cleanest energy is the energy that you don't use, which is something that President Fiordaliso would often say. And so, that's, I think, such an important program that we do. And it's really exciting that we've been able to help so many residents to make their homes more comfortable and to lower their bills.
Yeah. So what are other ways that our residents can save energy?
Yeah, so there's certainly, energy efficiency, not just through Comfort Partners, but our utility, we work with our utilities to deliver energy efficiency programs for our residents. So things like smart thermostats, right? A thermostat that you can program, that you can utilize from your phone remotely. So if you know that you are going to be out and you want to turn the air conditioning off, or, you need to turn it on before you get home, you're not having it run at 68 degrees all the time, right? That's a really big energy saver. Lighting, changing out older light bulbs to the newer high efficiency light bulbs. Things like weatherization, making sure that the whole building envelope, so all of your drafts are closed, and you're making sure that your energy is not just going out the window.
Right.
Making sure that you have insulation. And so there are programs.
And the utilities sometimes will come in and do a free audit of your home.
So the utilities all are now running a lot of these energy efficiency programs for the residents. And so, definitely go to your utilities website, find out what's available. They do discounts on things like smart thermostats. And so, you can certainly go and find out what's available through your utilities, but there's a lot that can be done. Electrification, if you're in the market for a new heating or air conditioning system, you might want to look at a heat pump, especially if it's, if something's just broken, if your HVAC is broken or your furnace is broken, look at switching to electric, because, that in conjunction with weatherization can reduce your energy costs, and it's a heck of a lot cleaner.
So recently my gas oven broke.
Okay.
And I was like, and it was very hard, because I always had gas. I said, I can only cook with gas. I need gas. And even though it's not a law yet, it was very hard to find gas ovens. So I said, all right, I'll try the electric. And even though I'm the sustainability, I was reluctant, I'm sure, as anybody is, to change ways. I love it.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I recommend if you have to get a new appliance or anything, go electric.
Absolutely. And that is such an important point. And I'm glad that you said that. I actually still have a gas stove. My stove still works, but when it breaks, I'm going to be ready to switch to electric. There's no law, but we want to encourage people.
Right.
If your gas appliance breaks, whether it's your furnace or your water heater or your stove, that's the perfect time to look at, what you can do with electric. There are a lot of incentive programs available, even more now with the federal government under President Biden's administration. There are a ton of incentives for things like heat pumps for qualifying residents. So we want to make sure that, when it's time to switch, you can do that and it's affordable for you. And that's why we have these incentive programs.
And pretty much all the appliances, the refrigerators, they're new, they're going to save you energy.
Yeah, the newer appliances, but you want to make sure that you're looking for things like Energy Star and high efficiency when you are in the market for a new appliance.
Terrific. Okay, so let's talk about electric cars.
Let's.
So in Woodbridge, we just, we're putting in our charging stations.
Yeah.
We have the first, I guess it's a truck, a part of our fleet.
Okay.
That is electric.
Great.
And we're we got it through the Volkswagen grant.
Okay,
and
excellent.
we're very excited about it. And all over, we're just putting up more charging stations. But I think what I find also very important is the amount of our businesses that are doing that on their own. They're not forced to do it. Of course, our new apartments, there is a law that says, yes, they have to have the electric charging stations. So we're seeing the growth in that. But Oak Tree Road, which is our Indian neighborhood, and it's a very high-class shopping area. We see Teslas there all the time, so we're putting the electric charging stations where the cars are.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So tell us more about how we can, if there's grants out there, what we could do to electrify.
Yes. So we have the vehicle grant program that's run out of the BPU Charge Up New Jersey, which has been incredibly successful over the years. It's helped us to, get towards our goal of 330,000 vehicles. We are making some tweaks to the program to make sure that it's serving those residents who are what we call incentive essential. So they would otherwise not maybe be able to afford to switch to an EV, but by offering a certain incentive level, now they're going to make that switch, right? That's who we really want to target with the vehicle incentive program. We also have a residential charger incentive program so that you can get an incentive if you want to install a charger at home. For the business community and the city of Woodbridge, township of Woodbridge, right? Township of Woodbridge. We have a few different grant opportunities. So we have the Clean Fleet Program, which is a local government incentive program for both vehicles and chargers. So that's something that can serve county, township, city, all local governments. We have our EV tourism grant program, and it's the parameters are pretty generous. So to help install chargers at potential tourist locations. We also have a grant program for multi-unit dwellings because we want to make sure that people who are living in apartments, have the ability to charge their cars. So those are just a few of the things that we're working on. There are also the utilities also have charger incentive programs throughout their service territories as well. So those are just some of the opportunities that the town and the business community can take advantage of.
And especially with incentives from the federal government.
Right.
It really is a time to be doing that.
Those federal incentives for sure.
So that's terrific.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of my favorite subjects, Sustainable Jersey. We are, as I'm sure you know, the champion, and I'm also personally, I'm one of the greatest advocates for Sustainable Jersey. It's because of them that we are sustainable. I went into that program, I knew nothing about sustainability, and I sat there because I have no other life in front of the computer digging into all of their resources and learning, and then following their roadmap and their actions.
Yeah.
And so much of who and what Sustainable Jersey is because they're partners with you. So talk about that partnership a little bit.
Absolutely. Sustainable Jersey is such a great partner to work with. I think that we have so many shared goals and a shared vision for how we want to see municipalities and school districts take advantage of the state programs, right? There are a lot of resources available, and I think Sustainable Jersey is a fantastic vehicle for municipalities and school districts in particular to really take advantage and learn about what resources are out there, and to work together to achieve the goals, that we have in the state of New Jersey that Governor Murphy has set through our Energy Master Plan. So they're a fantastic partner. A couple of the examples, one is, we'll go back to community solar. So there's a great tool that Sustainable Jersey helped develop called the Community Solar Project Finder. So if you're a resident, you can go to the Community Solar Project Finder, you can put your location in, and you can find a project that you will be eligible to subscribe to. And that, I think, I tell all my family members, go to the Project Finder, find a project that is either online or coming online that you can subscribe to. So that was just such an incredible and very tangible thing that Sustainable Jersey helped to develop, and we worked with them. We also at the BPU have community energy planning grants, right? We would love to have municipalities working in conjunction with BPU, looking at our energy master plan, seeing how they can create their own plan to get towards their clean energy goals. And Sustainable Jersey has been an incredible partner in helping to advance, helping the municipalities to look at our community energy planning grant program, see what they might be able to do to become eligible for those grants.
They definitely do work with each municipality that's interested.
They're great.
We do have our SEP.
They're a fantastic partner.
Yeah,
so.
and it was a great. It's kind of like an exercise the way they set it up.
Yeah.
And it was a great exercise to do, and it helped set our vision.
Yeah.
And so. We're running out of time.
Oh.
We've run out of time. So before we have to close, is there any last thing that you would like to say?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity, because having the ability to talk to, people in local government with New Jersey's 564 now, I think, municipalities, it's really hard to, get the programs and the incentives and the message out there about what the BPU can do for our local governments and our residents. And so this is just an incredible opportunity to do that. So thank you so much,
it's
Vala.
been a great opportunity for us and for our town to learn more about what you do.
Thank you.
And so thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So thank you for watching Greenable Woodbridge. Thanks for being part of the change and part of the excitement.